Welcome to Scout Dynamics and our final chapter in this series of traditional versus tactical. In the first of our series, I claimed that the late Colonel Cooper did not have his scout rifle as his go-to rifle. A commentator later pointed out that upon meeting the Colonel stated that in his later years, his Steyr Scout, in its traditional purist configuration, was indeed his go-to rifle for just about every situation. In his book, To Ride, Shoot Straight, and Tell the Truth, the Colonel devotes an entire chapter towards defensive architecture. Upon viewing the video tour of the Sconce, click on the link below, I feel compelled to once again revisit the question that many AR apologists ask. What if 5 or more people invade your home? My only knowledge of the late Colonel was reading his books. The only knowledge I have of the Sconce are what I've seen through the video in the link shown below, and his chapter on defensive architecture. The first line of defense that Cooper calls for is awareness. Knowing your surroundings, knowing what's out there, knowing what's coming. He states the rifleman always has the initiative. A retired Green Beret who now runs a commune out in Arkansas and teaches advanced preparation, he states, if your first line of defense is your mailbox, and since mailboxes today are not in front of the house but are down the block, we'd have to say your driveway, you have already lost. So the first feature of the Sconce is that Cooper's study was in what's called a crow's nest. He was on the top and he had a 360-degree view of his property. If an antagonist was foolish enough to make his intentions known at 100 yards or more, he was not going to get anywhere near the house. So, first line of defense, knowing that he's coming, distance, and the ability to reach that distance with your rifle. So anyone foolish enough to satisfy the requirements of Rule 4 from a distance is going to go down. And this with a rifle in purest tactical configuration. So, you're a home invader who's made it to the outer wall of the house. You think you have the initiative. All you have to do is stay clear of the windows. You're now free to prowl, peek, and attack from any angle. In any regular house, that would be true. But if you're attacking the Sconce, in the words of some coach guy in the manosphere, nope! In a conventional home, you have blind spots. Once you're up against the wall, one is free to prowl around, peek into a window, break through that window, climb through it, and attack at his time of choosing. The Sconce, on the other hand, was built with defensive architecture in mind. There are no blind spots. There are areas of the house jutting out, windows that also double as gun ports. One of the things Cooper calls for are narrow vertical windows, too narrow to climb into, but good enough to give a field of fire. The window is supposed to open and allow one to fire through it. Also, the walls of the Sconce, unlike this prop here, are designed to provide not just concealment, but cover. So if you have an intruder who's up against the wall, who thinks he now has the initiative, he's wrong. The front door of the Sconce is also reinforced, so it's difficult or virtually impossible to kick in. Whether a battering rammer would work or not, that I don't have the details to support that. But once again, as you're working on that door, behind you, there's another gun port. Another feature of the sconce are internal security gates. There's an iron gate that seals off the hallway and bedroom area from the living room, kitchen area. Now, I did not see the entranceway, the main entranceway, but if I were to sconcify my home, I would have a similar setup on the entranceway coming in from the front door. This would turn the entranceway into a slaughter pen, with a fatal funnel being the only way back out. So if you were able to subdivide your home with a gate that you could see through and shoot through, now you have pretty much altered the entire tactical situation. Not only is magazine capacity not as important, but even the ability to reload. I could have someone on the other side of that security gate down the hallway yelling insults and making threats and even launching a few bullets in my direction. The interior walls of the sconce are designed to provide not just concealment, but cover as well. So as long as I'm behind cover, it could be a case of, "Sir, police are on their way. I highly advise that you be on your way as well. Now, it's up to you. You're going to be on your way, or do I call the county back and tell them to bring an extra gurney for the coroner? Up to you, sir. Be on your way, or else. No? Okay, your choice." Throughout history, battles have been lost long before the first shot has ever been fired. Preparing the battlefield is up to 80% of the problem. This is sexy. This is not. Yet, digging out a good fighting position can determine the outcome of whether you win or lose. This is fun. This, not so much. The Colonel's chapter on defensive architecture states that a truly hardened home needs to be built that way from the ground up. And to build one as such is considerably more expensive. Walls that provide cover, instead of not just concealment, are naturally more expensive. Especially internal walls. You're going to have to put brick, concrete, or stone where you would normally have drywall over wood frames. And yet, there are existing features on your home which can be expanded. Stone, brick, and other masonry facades should offer cover from anything short of sustained rifle fire. Extending external brick, stone, or other such hard facades to cover the entire front of your house will turn your external walls into cover versus merely concealment. The outside security gate is the first level of hardening. It not only prevents the intruder from getting to the much softer front door, but also provides no cover and no concealment from your retaliation. Security gates, normally installed outside the house, can also be installed inside, subdividing your home into security zones. Completely remodeling your house into a Vauban star shape, providing no blind spots and clear areas of fire, is rather cost prohibitive. But modern security cameras, which are now more affordable than ever, can eliminate blind spots. Converting your house into a neo-colonial triangle would be prohibitively expensive. However, extending the bars on your windows to protrude out and giving the same effect could do so in an existing structure in a more cost-effective manner. Interior walls that provide cover instead of merely concealment have to be built from the ground up. Modifying existing walls to do that would be expensive and disruptive to your home, to say the least. One thing you can do, while you cannot convert your entire wall and provide cover, you could hang wall coverings. I like to call it cover art. Picture frames, mirror covers, maybe shelving or hanging units. 14 gauge stainless will provide cover from pistol fire. 9mm, 40, 45. To provide cover from rifle fire is a little more challenging. This 14 gauge stainless, if stacked or layered close together, 308 will go through 4 of these layers and be stopped by the 5th. 556 will go through 3 and be stopped by the 4th. During the fatal funnel drill, I've noticed that if we put space between them, you need one less layer. It's 308 will go through 3 and be stopped by the 4th. 556 will go through 2 and be stopped by the 3rd. One experiment I intend to work on, kind of like poor man's AR-500, would be to sandwich some material, some soft material. The first one would deform the bullet. The second, the softer material, will then cause it to expand, giving a less likely ability to penetrate the second or maybe third layer. Look for a video series on experimenting with this concept. The only other alternative would be to hang large sheets of AR-500 on your wall, providing cover zones, and that would be prohibitively expensive, and the structural weight you would put on that wall would be tremendous. So we're back to some AR advocates' question: what if 5 or more men invade your home? Once again, in his book, the late Colonel likes to write, in studying the circumstances under which an individual owner might be called upon to use a rifle in defense of his life and property, one is drawn to the conclusion that a battle scene is almost certainly not going to be involved. A solitary rifleman or a small group operating individually from cover can do enormously effective work, but rarely with more than 1 or 2 shots from the same firing position. If you are truly worried about 5 or more men invading your home, simply buying a semi-auto carbine and adding it to your collection is not a case of problem solved. In our series, Traditional versus Tactical, we use an AR as a control. And while an AR guy did in fact clean my clock, one off camera was able to take out 6 targets in 2.6 seconds. That's quite impressive. And yet, when we simulated the bad guy shooting back, the homeowner went down in 0.8 seconds. The concept of hardening your home is more important than increasing your firepower. So before you go to a gun shop and decide to add a semi-auto carbine to your collection, you might want to consider a trip to a home improvement store. Then you might decide to add a semi-auto carbine to your collection to take the next step. Hope you enjoyed watching. Like and subscribe.